Steven, can you tell us the status of Gerald McCoy and the injury that he had?
Yes, unfortunately, he has a ruptured right quad tendon, and will be having surgery and will be out for the year.
What's your disappointment level of hearing that news and so early here in training camp?
Well, it's obviously tough. It's part of the game. I mean, you see injuries around the league, every day, and unfortunately, that's why you want to have a deep that's why you have to have a deep roster. Obviously, why you sign a guy like Everson Griffin. You never know when things like this are going to happen, and it's certainly disappointed. We're first and foremost disappointed for Gerald. I know he was fired up about being here, but also he, it's disappointing for us. He was one of our major acquisitions there in the offseason and free agency, but having said that, this will give Tristan Hill and Gallimore an opportunity to really step up now. Two young players that we will need to come through for us.
Steven, can you talk about both of them a little bit more, and you look at supplementing that position with a veteran, or are you just going to see how it plays out with Hill and Gallimore right now?
Well, obviously, both those guys are high picks for us that we, certainly have high expectations for. Both of them play the same position as Gerald, and looking forward to see how they can do. Certainly, as you know, Tyrone Crawford can move down in there as well, and then of course they're at the nose. We've got Poe there, so. We're fired up about, still fired up about our personnel there, and we'll probably be going with what we have.
What makes you believe that Tristan Hill's ready to have a different season to make a bigger contribution this year than he did a year ago?
We always hope players continue to get better, and Tristan was a young player last year, and had some vets in front of him, and it's time for him to step up. And I know our current coaching staff feel really good about him. They've been encouraged, with him in the meeting rooms and how he's digesting the system. And certainly also are encouraged by what they've seen so far. And then, of course, obviously, Gallimore coming out of Oklahoma, we certainly thought a lot of him in terms of using a high draft pick on him as well. So, we feel really good about that young group. And as I said, Crawford's been practicing down in there as well. So, we think we got a great opportunity there for some young guys to step up.
Tyrone Crawford was saying earlier that he thought that Hill was, he saw him becoming more mature and more professional this year. Have you been around him enough to see that on your own as well?
Absolutely. I mean, we've talked about him and see that in him. I think he's certainly eager and wants more opportunities to play, and this certainly will give him that opportunity to do that. So, we feel really good about it. Will and I were down there talking after we got the information on Gerald McCoy, and feel good he can do that. At the same time, as I've always said, you're always open-minded to any acquisitions if something presents itself. But the good news is we, really felt like our defensive front was one of our deepest groups coming into camp. So we'll just have to work from here.
Steven, from what you can tell, it looked like you was engaged in a play with Woods. Did Woods just step on the top of his foot and then he went back, or did you get any report on how it unfolded?
I haven't seen it specifically, so I hate to comment too much on it, but it is my understanding that Woods had gotten on top of, had stepped on his foot and it didn't release and was into McCoy, and unfortunately you had the incident.
Steven, Zeke, last year, his first full season without winning a rushing title, how much do you think he has to prove?
Oh, I don't think Zeke has anything to prove. He's a great football player, and at the end of the day, he still had a very successful season, and he's done a great job training. I know he spent a lot of time with Dak and that offensive group really getting himself in top shape. And, I think Zeke's one of the best, if not the best running back in the NFL. And certainly he's been very consistent throughout his career on his production.
Can you describe in some detail how the Everson-Griffin deal came together?
We just, as I said, I'll say it again, player acquisition's 365 days a year. Will and our scouting staff is constantly looking at players that are available out there. We were certainly aware of Griffin, and especially with George Edwards being in the building, had spent a lot of time there in Minnesota with him, and just really felt like it was an opportunity when it presented itself to really solidify our defensive ends there in terms of what we had on our roster. So it was important to get that done, and excited to have him.
Stephen, what's the most noticeable difference you've seen in these first few Mike McCarthy practices from the previous regime?
I would say probably tempo. I mean, they're getting a lot of work done, and at the same time, I think what I'm seeing, and certainly understood from Mike as we headed into camp, how he was going to want to conduct camp, is he also wants to take good care of the players, and when they're out there, he wants the tempo to be good. He wants the pace, the cadence to all fall in line, and then at the same time, he's assured them that he's going to take care of them as far as their legs, and knowing that this has been a different off season, and that we're going to work our way into this thing. So I've been very pleased with it. Obviously, Mike's had a lot of success and been through a lot of camps and learned a lot along the way, and I feel really good about where we're going with this team.
What are your early impressions of Diggs and Lamb so far?
They've been outstanding in my mind. I mean, both of them. Obviously, CD, you can see him out there making plays. He's very smooth. He's very abrupt, getting up the field with the ball. It just seems so natural and so easy to him as well. And then Diggs, I think, just as, we saw in college, his ball skills certainly have shown up early and often. And, then, of course, just his stature. He's a big man for a corner. And, but I think both of those guys are going to be able to contribute early and often for us, I think.
Have you seen a wide receiver sort of pop like this early in camp? I mean, Dez made a good impression, and I think I remember him getting banged up a little early or something. Do you have anything to compare this to?
Not really. I mean, as you said, Dez did show early. But different type. Dez was very physical type of guy. Not that CD's not, but CD is just so smooth, and he's so abrupt in and out of cuts, and getting up the field once he catches the ball. So it's been so impressive to see him. Now you certainly expect that too when you pick these guys first in the draft, and of course we had Lamb way up our board in terms of. How we looked at him in terms of this receiving class. So, there was high expectations there, but he's, in my mind, he's met all the expectations up to this point.
Stephen, is it notice or is it natural to notice the differences between what Mike does and what Jason does? Because Jason was here for so long, almost a decade as the head coach. Have you found yourselves at all in any of these practices saying, oh, all right, we didn't do it that way before?
Well, you're always going to see differences with any of the coaches, whether it's Coach Parcells, whether it's Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer, Dave Campo, anybody. Everybody goes about things in a different way, and certainly Mike has his way of going about things, and you certainly see the differences early, and you're able to notice them. Certainly the feedback from the players has been the same. But we're talking about great coaches here, especially when you're talking about Super Bowl winners like Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer and Bill Parcells, and now Mike. You certainly see their pedigree coming out in them, and I think certainly going to be a huge asset for this football team.
And Stephen, I think you said fairly recently that expectations last year, and you feel like they're the same this year, even though it's a new staff that really didn't get a normal off season. Is this a team with the same expectations that it had a year ago?
Well, I know the staff has them, starting at the top with Mike. He certainly has high expectations for this team. He's certainly embraced the challenges that the coronavirus has presented. And, he's just jumped in with both feet along with his staff. And they feel great about the schedule they have in place, getting this team prepared to go to work here to start the season in September. So, yes, the answer is I think everybody in this building has high expectations in terms of what we can achieve as a team this year.
Stephen, over the years, you've seen guys, Stephen, that in contract years kind of struggle with that and not live up to expectations or maybe press. Obviously, Dak was in a similar situation a year ago. Does that give you faith or confidence that the fact that he's only on the tender this year will not really impact his play on the field?
I've never seen anything shake Dak, and certainly that's why we think so much of him. And he's totally focused on the task at hand, which is trying to win a championship for the Dallas Cowboys, and have no concerns that this contract's a distraction to him. I know he feels, he stated, that he feels confident, just as Jerry and I do, that we'll ultimately get this contract situation put to bed, because we want Dak to be here for many, many years. And he certainly exudes the leadership, the it factor that he's had from the day he walked in the door. He's stronger than ever out there. You see him interacting with his teammates, with the young guys. He's obviously there's no question who's leading this football team when you watch practice, in my mind.
Stephen, you signed Cameron Irving to be your swing tackle, and we haven't seen him yet. Do you know what his status is? What's going on with him?
I think he should be out to practice sooner than later. I think it'll be more toward the end of the week, but he's dealing with a medical situation that should be rectified here sooner than later.
You haven't seen Sean Heath. What's his status for this week?
Sean's that wily veteran. We're certainly going to take good care of Sean, but I expect him to start working in sooner than later as well.
You guys have not, in these past few years, you try to get younger. You stay away from guys over the age of 30. Certainly, a lot of the defensive linemen you have signed and grades for over 30, and McCoy was one of them. Can you talk about that, a change of philosophy, and is this injury kind of indicative of why you guys stayed away from that in the past? And what's going on with the change of philosophy there?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a change in philosophy. It's just the opportunities that happen, to come our way. And certainly felt like between McCoy and Poe, those were great opportunities to really improve our defensive line and to some degree fit in well with what Coach Nolan and Coach Tomasula are doing there. And Mike was certainly on board with that. So those opportunities were there. And then when Griffin presented himself with an opportunity to come in here for a year, a proven pass rusher who's not only a great football player, but he's a even better man off the field from everything that we were able to really doing our research, understand that, he's a captain guy. He does everything the right way. And, of course, a lot of our guys have been around him at Pro Bowls. He's that type of player, just felt he was the right fit. So, along the way you got to, just look for the right opportunities to fill holes. And certainly that allows you then, if you do things the right way in in free agency, then you can pick the best players available in the draft. And then, if situations like Everson Griffin show up, then you're able to jump on that opportunity as well. So I wouldn't necessarily say there's any change in philosophy. The draft at the end of the day is the most important thing year in and year out that we do in acquisitions. And it certainly gives you the opportunity in a salary cap world to to have success. If you have success in the draft and your young players play, that allows you to pick up the occasional veteran who can really help you out.
It's only been 3 practices, but what have your impressions been of how Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch have looked?
Oh, I think they're getting right back in the swing of things. I think they're moving around great. Certainly, Leighton coming off his neck injury from last year. You can tell he's got his confidence totally back. He's moving around really well, and then Jalen the same way. I just think our front seven, is going to be really good, and we've got some great leadership in there, and really been pleased with those two. And certainly you mix Sean in there, and you got to see what Sean did when he needed to step up. He was just the Sean Lee that we've always grown to respect and think the world of, and certainly he's back there in his leadership role, and just think we got a great situation there at the linebacking spot.
Stephen, do you know when McCoy will have his surgery?
I'm not sure. It'll be sooner than later.
But no chance that he could be one of those IR to return guys?
Don't think so, no. I think he's pretty much been ruled out for the year.
Thank you.
Are you excited, Stephen, to see a little more disguise on defense, a little more unpredictability? That seems to be what the players are already talking about some in these first few practices.
Absolutely. I think that can be a big plus for us. At the end of the day, what you're really, you want to be really sound on defense, but at the same time, to win these games in the NFL, you got to win that turnover war. And we just, historically hadn't been a great team at getting turnovers, and I think we've got a great chance here to change that with this staff. And I know Mike, it's certainly high on his priority list to generate more turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. And then, the multiplicity that they're bringing to the table too, and some of the players that we have can actually, execute the things that they want to do is going to be a huge plus. So I just think it's going to really help us in terms of, putting our personnel in the best chances to make big plays for us.